Speedrunning in games has always been so strange to me. Like, what do you mean if I put in the most random combinations known to man and tilt my stick 45 degrees to the right and up ever so slightly, I'll just beat the game? Like, who even figured this stuff out? How bored are you? And of course, Sonic is no exception. Even in the newer games, there's still methods to pull off crazy time skips. However, you all know that this video is about Unleashed. Surprisingly, this almost 20-year-old game is home to some of the most insane and easy to pull off skips in the entire series. And of course, in this video I'll be talking about 10 useful strats in order from the easiest all the way to the hardest to pull off, and kind of go in depth about what makes each one beneficial. I'll even touch up on some skips for the Werehog, although strats for him are very few and not nearly as useful as daytime Sonics. Also, I'll explain the general inputs, but don't expect me to go too in depth on ways to make specific strategies easier, because there's plenty of tutorials out there. But anyways, let's get to the herring surprise and potatoes.
What's the surprise?
The easiest Sonic Unleashed speedrun strat to pull off isn't even usually used in speedruns, but it is, however, really useful for maintaining your boost meter through long sections with no rings. And I'm of course talking about snaking, which might sound familiar if you've ever played a kart racing game before. Usually in those games you need at least some precision and thought, but Unleashed, this is really easy to pull off. Simply start boosting, hold down the drift button, flick the analog stick left and right, and oh my god, you're a pro already! Like I said before, this can be used for very casual runs, and is very helpful when there's no rings in sight and your boost gauge is low. I believe it's also faster than regular boosting, but correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Quick pause, if you want to support the channel, I'd really appreciate it if you'd like and subscribe, as at the time we're recording this, we just hit 6,000 subscribers. Oh my god, thank you all! If you're not already subscribed, do that now. Maybe even hype this video so it gets pushed out to more people who might be interested in this type of content. Anyways, let's move on to the next strat. This next move, called the spinning needle attack, is also really easy to pull off, and it's honestly kinda easier than snaking. First, get it into a running motion with the Werehog with any of the two triggers, jump, and then hit Y, or triangle. This propels the Werehog forward and is a great way to navigate areas quickly. It also doubles as an attack so you can damage enemies, which is pretty cool and useful. There's not really much more to add here, so let's go back to daytime Sonic for the next move, the Quick Step Slide. The Quick Step Slide is one of two moves that's abbreviated to QSS, and is a ton easier than the Quick Stomp Slide, which I'll talk about later. To pull the Quick Step Slide off, gain some speed before holding down the slide. While you're sliding, hit the shoulder buttons like a mad person, and you'll start to see Sonic gain even more speed. For whatever reason, you'll go faster if you aren't boosting while quick step sliding. If anyone knows why and would care to explain, I'd like to know. Anyways, the quick step slide is used for long stretches of land, which show up a lot in Unleashed. A great example of the speedrun route with QSS is in the beginning of Skyscraper Scamper, where you can perform this in combination with the next skill I'll talk about, proper drifting, to pull off this cool skip to go straight to the infamous drifting section. This move is also very useful during the Arrow Chaser segments, which is something that both of the QSSs have in common. But speaking of drifting, the next strat we'll be talking about is mastering Unleashed Drift. Most people don't like the drift in this game, to put it simply. Mostly because they suck at Unleashed and haven't taken the time to learn how to properly use it. That's really a shame too, because it's really easy to learn. Think of Sonic as a car in this game. If you try drifting by only veering your control stick in the direction you want to go, it's gonna be a lot harder to properly control him during his drifting path. But if you've ever seen the movie Cars, and you remember what Doc Hudson said, you know, turn right to go left, you can just apply that knowledge here. Before you start your drift, flick your stick in the opposite direction that you want to go, and then slam the other direction. By doing this, you can make much sharper turns, and some previously hard drifting sections will be made incredibly easy. A good way to practice your drifting is just to play Savannah Citadel Act 2, because it's basically just copy and paste the exact same turn over and over. Before long, you'll go from slamming into walls to staying in the center of the path. But just in case you wanted to stay near the walls, this next skill with the Werehog will help you glitch through them entirely. The skill is called Go Through Walls. How creative. Anyways, the input side of this glitch is really easy. It's more so the timing and the punishment upon failure of it that makes this skill so hard to pull off. Start by making your way to a wall and hugging up against it with the analog stick. While still walking against it, hit X, Y, Y, or square triangle to make the Werehog do this attack. This is the important part. When the Werehog finishes this spinny breakdance motion, hit the left bumper to bring up the shield. If you did it right, he should be tilted sideways and should be able to walk through the wall. If you failed, that can be one of two things. Either nothing happened and you could try again, or you fell through the map. If you can consistently pull this off multiple times in stages like Arid Sands and Rooftop Run, it'll shave your time off significantly. However, there aren't really many other scenarios where you can use this move, so you'll basically be designated to the 2 stages that I just listed. And trust me, up next are 2 skills which will have you saving more time than you could ever save with go through walls, and it's the main trick that almost all serious Unleashed speedrunners use. I'm of course talking about M-Speed and D-Speed. M-Speed and D-Speed were both introduced in Unleashed and are really only easy to pull off in this game. Of course, they're not simple to learn, but compared to Generations, Unleashed is much more lenient with the execution of these skills. We'll start with the easier of the two, M-Speed. To get going, make sure you have enough ring energy for a quick air boost. Tilt your control stick ever so slightly so that Sonic starts walking. Make sure to keep this position for the entire time you want to keep your speed or it won't work. Once Sonic starts walking, gain a quick boost of speed by hopping, air boosting, and sliding when you land. Keep your finger on the slide button for more speed and keep jumping. If you did it right, Sonic should launch forward like he's flying. You'll know when you get it. For D-Speed, which is the 2D counterpart of M-Speed, the procedure is the exact same. It takes a bit less input to get Sonic moving in 2D, but once you do the same thing. Hop, air boost, slide, and jump again. A great place to practice both skills is in Savannah Citadel Act 1, where the opening section is a nice flat area for M-Speed, and the first 2D section opens with a great place for a nice D-Speed launch with this dash pad. These skills are essential for any glitch speedrun, as they can be used almost anywhere with proper usage. Combined with the quick step slide and the next skill, the quick stomp slide, these are easily the best way to gain tremendous amounts of speed in Unleashed. The quick stomp slide goes basically hand in hand with M-Speed, so you'll need to have that skill down before attempting this one. But once you're confident in your M-Speed capabilities, start an M-Speed. Start M-Speeding, rev up an M-Speed, there's really no good way to put that, but you know what I mean. And hold the stomp button when you're almost returned to the ground. Keep the stomp button held just long enough to start a slide before pressing jump again. When you're just starting out, it's helpful to not rush the inputs or you'll likely do it wrong. Keep the jump and slide held for longer just to practice the motions with your fingers, because it's a lot to input in a very short amount of time. When you've built up enough skill with it, you can try hopping instead of jumping to go even faster. I'd recommend practicing this in a mod called Spagonia Running Track, link in the description. Or if you're playing on original hardware in 2026, practice in Skyscraper Scamper's Aero Chaser section. This move is great for retaining consistent velocity with M-Speed and long patches of flat space. But anyways, let's move on to the final Werehog strat, known as the Guard Cancel Uppercut. This move is up here for a reason. It requires a consistent slew of inputs that not even I've mastered yet. Granted, I only practiced this for like 20 minutes, but it's still really difficult. You should start in an open space like Savannah Citadel's hub world. This skill pairs 2 moves together to create one fluid motion, both requiring your shield to be activated. For the first move, hold the analog stick forward and press A, or X for PlayStation. The Werehog should lunge forward at this. For the next move, hold the shield, move the analog stick backwards, and press Y, or a triangle. You'll see that the Werehog lunges forward and does an uppercut. But try this again, and this time, right as he starts to uppercut, bring up your shield again to cancel the animation. Practice both of these moves and try them as fast as you can before combining them. You need to keep your analog stick placements pretty precise, otherwise the Werehog will spin off in different directions each time. So far, this is the most progress I've made. Definitely not great. However, mastery of the skill will grant you the best speed that the Werehog can offer, and looks like this. This strat can be used for traversal and combat, so it's an incredibly useful skill to have for the Werehog stages. But you know what's also useful? Skipping the entirety of Windmill Isle Act 2 with the last skill, Break Speed. Break Speed is insanely hard to pull off consistently, and also highly situational. What this skill does is take the speed retained from 3D into 2D and combines it with an M-Speed jump, which sends Sonic flying. However, the correct analog stick placement is so incredibly precise that even the slightest misplacement can end your run. And sometimes, Sonic goes so fast that the game can't handle it and goes black. If this happens, don't restart the level, it will crash your game, return to the world map. The best place to test this mechanic is in Windmill Isle Act 2, in the transition to the first 2D section. It's really helpful to look at a reference video with inputs shown, so you know where to set your stick. So far, I haven't pulled off this skip successfully, but who knows, maybe it'll happen while I'm supposed to be editing this video. Well, that about does it for Unleashed's many speedrunning skills. I hope you guys have enjoyed and were able to pull off some of these skips. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment your results or questions, all the things that'll push this video out. And I'll see you guys next week.